What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about here on a daily basis. And it's getting crazy here as we get closer and closer to the midterm elections. The Democrats are trying to push through here a reconciliation package or two. They could push at least two here through. They do have the option to do that here, especially they haven't used any here this whole year. But Joe Manchin said, well, I'm not for the climate provisions. I'm not for raising taxes on wealthy individuals, aka himself. He's worth reported over $12 million at least, and corporations who, make who knows how much money and pay very little taxes. Remember that he owns part of a coal mine that makes millions and millions and millions of dollars, aka himself. This guy, you can't. Unbelievable, right? So, but we'll have to see what happens here. The guy changes his mind, like the wind blows. So we'll have to see here. But President Biden just said that he would. He said, "Go ahead and pass what you can here. I'll get to the details here in a second, and he'll pass some other things through executive order here. Passes before the August recess. They go on a short recess. Remember, recess actually means they go back to their states. It's actually called work period, where they go back to their states and work. A lot of time, Chuck Schumer, the Senate Majority Leader, will keep them there longer if needed. They actually work back in the Senate if needed. They do this all the time. And they can be called back at any given point to vote in the Senate if needed. So they do this all the time. If you've been watching my show, you know that I literally say, don't worry about this because they do this all the time. So, yeah, I mean, they were on, vacation for July 4th, and Joe Manchin and Chuck Schumer were actually came together with a proposal for the lowering prescription drug pricing during that week and submitted it to the Senate parliamentarian that week. So literally, they still work at this stuff. Just if they're not actually in Washington D.C., it's not a big deal. Remember that your state senators and state representatives have to work in their states sometimes too. So like if you're from Texas, if you're from Florida, New York, wherever you're from, Ohio, they have to actually work in your state sometimes. They can't always work in Washington D.C. or else they'd have no idea what's going on in your state. Like what's going on in Uvalde right now. You gotta sometimes know what's going on in your state and feel the pulse of your state too right now, right? So anyways, they have come to an agreement between Joe Manchin and Chuck Schumer and the Democrats per se, supposedly on this prescription drug pricing deal, which would lower the cost of prescription drugs and potentially insulin. We'll have to see how this all comes down here, right? Because well, you know how this goes. But this could lower the cost of prescription drugs for over 100 to 150 million Americans. So this is a really, really big deal because healthcare and prescription drugs is one of the most expensive things in our country. Okay, if you pay for healthcare, which you probably do in one way or another, if you pay for Medicare, if you pay for Medicare Part B, if you pay for health insurance, if you go to work and you pay out of your paycheck, if you pay for prescriptions, you're paying for all this stuff one way or another. Okay, even if you don't take any prescriptions, which most people do, or even if you pay a small amount for prescriptions, um, you're actually paying for more for prescriptions than you realize. Okay, that the reason for this is because there's a lot of money built into your premiums, the amount you pay monthly, or if the amount you pay for Medicare or the amount you pay for Medicare Part B. There's a lot of money built into the monthly cost of just your premiums, the amount you pay for just the healthcare part, is built into from the prescriptions because a lot of the cost of your prescriptions is just built into the regular cost that you pay. Okay, because these companies know that when you're paying for a several $100 prescription and they eat a lot of that cost, they're making you pay for it one way or another. Yeah, they're not running charities there. Yeah, it's unbelievable. And the thing is that we as a whole, the United States, are just getting raked over the coals, gouged day in and day out. If the gas companies, the oil companies weren't gouging us enough, the pharmaceutical companies and the health industry have been doing it for years. If you're outraged right now over the price of gas, you should really be outraged over the price of the pharmaceutical industry and the healthcare industry and the whole health industry, because they've been doing it for way longer than the gas industry. I mean, the gas industry's kind of been doing it, but the price of gas really fluctuates, right? Well, the health industry has just that cost of healthcare has just steadily been going up for years, for years. I think that like my healthcare bill went up like 25% from the year over year. 25% in 1 year. And the thing is that never goes back down. Like the price of gas, it goes up and it goes down. It's been down for like 30 days in a row now or something like that. You're like, okay, we got some relief here. Now it could go back up. Don't get me wrong. The price of healthcare never goes down, right? It never goes. Just like the cost of college, right? If you have to send somebody to college, or you're going to college, or you went through college, the cost of that never goes down either. Yeah, these. So if they can lower the price of prescription drugs, lower the cost of insulin, lower the cost of blood pressure medication, lower the cost of inhalers. If you've ever had to pay for inhalers, those things are like I take an inhaler. I don't take it every day, but I've had it for I've had you know I don't have bad asthma right now, but I still take it from time to time. That thing's like $400 or $500, like $483 or something like that. Every time I go to buy it. And I have to pay the full thing because I have a $5,000 deductible. So basically, I don't. The insurance company doesn't pay anything until I pay that full $5,000 for the year. Then they start paying something, and we also pay $1,000, a little bit over $1,000 per month for the three of us, me, my wife, and my 4-year-old son. So it's a little bit over $300, $350 a person, but it's still over $1,000 a person for the family, and we have a $5,000 deductible each. But they're very nice. They're very nice that they say if we hit a $10,000 between the three of us, then there's a $10,000 max deductible. I know they're so nice. They're very nice to say that they won't charge us the full 15,000. Yeah, that's how nice these health insurance companies are. But Joe Manchin and Chuck Schumer have sent in a bill to the Senate parliamentarian on lowering the cost of prescription drug pricing that the Senate parliamentarian is reviewing right now. We don't get to see it yet. So yeah, we'll have to see here on that and what they can pass here. But President Biden says to the Senate, pass what you can now, like a health bill, lowering the cost of prescription drug pricing, anything you can right now with Senator Joe Manchin. And I will tackle climate because Joe Manchin said he's not willing to pass climate. And he'll tackle the climate through executive action. Now, it's ironic that Joe Manchin won't vote for climate change, which also lowers energy costs, gas, electric's through the roof right now because Joe Manchin owns a coal mine, part of a coal mine. He's a part owner. So he doesn't want to vote for clean energy because he's part owner in a coal mine. And I mean, the U.S. is making big strides in renewable energy. You can see here from USA Today, a wow moment. U.S. renewable energy hit a record 28% in April. Okay, and probably maybe a percent more or two since then. But 28% of the U.S. energy is renewable energy, solar, wind power, etc. So we are now 28%. You might think that's a lot. You might think that's a little. I mean, that still means 2/3 of it's not renewable. So we do still have a long way to go. But this is up from only 8.6% in 2001, basically 20 years ago. So we've gone up 20% in 20 years. Yeah, and get this, in 2021, the cost of producing a megawatt hour of electricity from a wind turbine was anywhere from 26 to $50. The same amount of electricity from the cheapest type of natural gas plant, the cheapest type, was anywhere from 45 to 74. So you can see the significant savings of wind versus natural gas. And then remember, that's the cheapest type of natural gas. So we're already giving them the benefit of a doubt. And you can see the significant savings. And the other real advantage here is that things like solar, wind, and nuclear is that once you build a nuclear power plant, a solar power plant, or wind, you basically don't have to do much. You just have a little bit of ongoing maintenance, a little bit of personnel, no different than gas or natural gas. They have a lot more personnel because they have to continually drill and drill and drill. You ever seen the term drill, baby, drill? They're constantly drilling. And then as soon as you put it in your car or put it in, wherever you're using it, put it in the electricity, to burn it and use it, it's gone. Just does putting the gas in your gas tank and then filling it up again ring a bell? So that's the problem with gas is it's gone immediately. As soon as you use it, it's gone. Well, solar and wind is renewed every day. Nuclear power is literally renewed every day. You build it once and it's power basically for a long, long time, for as long as the parts last. So yeah, 20, 30 years from now, you have to replace the solar panels and the wind panels. Where the gas, how long does the gas in your car last you? A week? Yeah. So this is kind of the way of the future. I get that we can't switch over completely right now. I get it. I mean, I have gas cars too. I don't have any electric cars. I'm not rushing out to buy an electric car right now. I get it. Um, but in terms of government, in terms of government, I do think the government should be switching things over to for the power grid. I do think we should have the power grid on things like solar, nuclear, wind, a blend. You got to have a blend that can store them because when the wind stops, you got to have other things. When the sun stops, it's nighttime. You got to have other things. You store them on the grid. This is why Texas has a rough time. Texas has been asking people to turn their electricity up here just recently. If you're in Texas, you may know this. Let me know your comments here. And Texas has had problems with this in the past because they don't want to be on the grid with everybody else, where all the rest of the United States is interconnected with all the other states, and in some parts of the U.S., actually in other parts of other countries. Okay, Canada and Mexico were actually interconnected. Okay, so where if one part or one state is lacking in power, we just get it from other states because we're all the United States, right? Well, not Texas. So the problem is Texas only gets a small part of their electricity from solar. It's like last I seen was like 8% or something like that, and same thing with wind power. But that's not the issue. The issue is they're not on the grid. Yeah, but nonetheless, is that we can't rely on gas forever because look how expensive it is. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Yeah, that's part of the reason why more and more people are switching to electric cars because who wants to keep paying over $100 to fill up your gas tank every night when you can just and I guess the convenience of you could just charge at home. You come back from work, charge it at home. You don't even need to go to the gas station. For most people, right? When you're just going to work and back, you just charge at home. You don't even need to stop at the gas station and waste your time. But Biden says he'll tackle climate through executive action. So he says he'll try to do that whatever he can through executive action. And the Senate should try to pass whatever else they can through the Senate. So we'll have to see what the Senate says they can do. Here's what people says, what you guys say is on your mind right now. Here's the biggest issues on your mind. Check this out.
Good morning, Joe. Yeah, when it comes to pocketbook issues, the CNBC All America Economic Survey finding Republicans have a decided edge in the upcoming congressional elections. The question is whether other issues, climate change and abortion, could give Democrats something of a boost here. Respondents who say immigration and border security, jobs, and most importantly, the cost of living are their most important concerns. That's the wrong chart there, folks. I'm very sorry about that. We need the other chart, the horizontal line chart there. In any event, they have a decided preference, those folks, for a Republican congressional control. For example, those most worried about jobs prefer the GOP by a 54% to a 31% margin. But abortion, it ranks as the second biggest concern, and those respondents prefer Democratic control of Congress, 67% to 24%. That's the chart I wanted you to look at. I'll give you a second to have a look. Look at the bottom there. That's GOP control on the left there, and those who prefer those that. Overall, Americans prefer Republican control by a 44% to 42% margin. That actually narrowed from a 10-point gap in our last poll. Both our Republican and Democratic pollsters say this could be attributed to the emergence of abortion as a major issue. Climate change also breaks in favor of Democrats, but our poll actually found support for relaxing environmental rules to help bring down gas prices. We also found strong support for companies that have announced they would pay for their employees to travel to states where abortion is legal if that's needed. 49% support the policy, 24% oppose it, and 25% say they're unsure or have no opinion. Given President Biden's poor poll numbers we reported yesterday and the negative prevailing economic views, this should be a huge November for the GOP. The unanswered question, what role other issues play other than the economy at the polls? Joe?
Yeah, a lot of different ways to ask those. So I'm trying to think, the climate change thing, that's a huge disparity there, 9%. That was the biggest one. But where does climate change rank on a list of concerns? Maybe with all we do see a lot of coverage, obviously, but it's usually it's way down there. It's usually like 8th or 9th.
It's down there, Joe. Yeah. Yeah.
So then
we asked about eight. Yeah, it was definitely down there. If you are, so yeah, that top issue. This is not ranked by the order of importance there. If I did rank it, that would be cost of living, followed by almost everything else is kind of bunched up. Abortion is 1 point higher than immigration, and climate change would rank about 8th on our, 7th or 8th on our list right now. Right. It is definitely down there. What's really interesting, Joe, is if you look at a particular demographic of women 18 to 49, for them, cost of living is the most important issue, but that is followed very closely by abortion. For men, right, abortion ranks about the 4th on the list. So I think women in that demographic go to the polls and they have some interesting choices to make come this November.
Right. Not going to get into that, I don't think, at this point. But that is definitely something that would be on the radar for that. I don't know if it's a game changer for November, Steve, but
no.
Something to watch. But
let me say one more thing about that.
Who said it's the economy,
Joe,
stupid? Was that last
James Carville?
Well, great Republican president we had, Bill Clinton?
It's important to note, Joe, our poll was done shortly after the Supreme Court decision, and both of our pollsters have a question as to whether or not the intensity of the abortion issue lasts until November. Obviously, the Democrats will try to make that the case. But we did go to the polls or go out into the field with our survey at a time when intensity on this issue was highest. And it is an important question whether or not the economic issue. By the way, there's probably 3 more inflation reports, and whether or not if that starts to come down over the time, could that also change voters' opinions? That's another thing we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, so let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I'll keep you up to date here. There's a lot going on here, and what are your top concerns here at this moment? And yeah, I'll keep you up to date here with everything. Make sure to subscribe down below to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so yet. Just click the subscribe button and then the bell icon. It's completely free to do so. This way you won't miss out on new videos that come out here every day on our YouTube channel. It's completely free to do so. You can click here to watch my newest video next, and you can click here to see my newest video on stimulus checks that are going out to at least 20 different states, and there probably will be more going out here soon. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.